Hi guys, it's Shimi from Crafts Names and Things. So today we are going to try different gesso recipes, and I know that there's a lot on YouTube, but we're actually going to test these babies out and see which ones work the best. So the first one is one that I mixed up before. It has baby powder in it and craft paint and school glue and then some water. Okay, so this is kind of the consistency of that one. I'll show it to you. So we'll test this one out and you can kind of see if you like it. There is some stuff on the bottom. It settles to the bottom, so you want to make sure that you shake it and stir it up when you use it very well. So we'll try that one, which is made with craft glue, school paint, school glue, and baby powder. Okay, but we're going to try this other one with plaster of paradise. Okay, ready? And actually real latex paint. I got these for 50 cents at Home Depot. They're just the little samples that people throw away or take back, or they get expired and stuff. So this is what I'm going to use. Okay. Put down a piece of paper here, okay? And then I just have an empty container. I have a popsicle stick, and then I have just all-purpose glue, not school glue, all-purpose glue. And then I have some hot water here, and I have some paradise of plaster, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to mix the paradise of plaster. We're going to put that in the jar first, okay? See how this baby goes. Okay, alrighty. So it's going to be 1 part Paradise of Paris to 3 parts paint. Okay, so that's kind of the measurement that you need to remember. Okay, so I'm just going to fill this up so that, and I'm just going to eyeball this. If you wanted to, like, you could totally, and I'll give you like a recipe too, so you can totally measure it out if you feel so inclined. Okay, so I'm going to add some more plaster of paradise. Okay, I'll kind of put what I have in there. Okay, ready? So that's going to be my 1/3. Okay, so I need to add three parts of paint. Okay, ready? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first mix this with hot water. So I'm going to mix this with just a little bit of hot water. Okay. I'm going to take a popsicle stick, which is one of my favorite crafting tools, and I'm just going to stir this up so it's really good. Okay. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I think that the plaster of paradise will have a little bit more tooth on it than the baby powder. So we're going to test her out and see. Okay. So I just put just a little bit of water in there, not too much. Okay. Ready? And we can adjust this recipe. Okay, and then I'm going to add my paint in, which I'm going to give a stir. And this is the best way to buy your paint. I mean, you don't have to spend, $30 for a gallon of white paint, or even $17. That's just kind of crazy. So we're going to add that in there. So we're going to add some paint to what looks like about 3 to 1. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to stir that up. Okay, and then I'm going to add my craft paint. Okay, so I'm just going to take the lid off, and I am going to add about the same amount of the paradise that I put in there. Okay, so I'm just going to add some glue in there, some craft glue, just like that. Okay, so that should be enough. And eyeball it, like, this is not set in stone. You're an artist, so you know kind of what the consistency that you want is. Okay. And this isn't perfectly white. I wanted mine a little tan, but if you want perfectly white, then absolutely look for the samples that have the white color. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So that's how it looks. That's kind of the consistency of it. So I'm going to put it on my hand so I can kind of show you. So that's kind of the way that it looks. Okay. Ready? And it does. It has some tooth in it. You can definitely feel that it is textured. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. I'm going to kind of brush it on there so you can see a little better. Very good. And you might want to add, maybe we'll add just a tad bit of water. I think this needs to be a little bit looser. Okay. Just a little bit. I don't want to make it too loose. But kind of play around with it and add a little bit of more of this and a little bit more of that. So add just a little bit in there. And they do say when you're messing with the Paradise of Paris that you do want to use a mask, but okay. I am not going to do that, but I would recommend that you do if you're working with it, since it's a safety thing. Okay, so we're going to put the top on our paints. Okay, ready? And what we're going to do is we're going to try these out. Okay, so I'm going to clean up this mess, and I'll be right back, and we're going to try these out and see which one works better. Okay, guys, so I'm back. So we are going to try out our gessos. Okay, so here I just have some pages that I collaged, and I just have some Sharpies, some markers. I have a pastel, and I have some craft glue. Kind of the mediums that you would kind of use with art journaling. Okay, so we're going to try this out and see which one works better. So let's start out with the one that we just made first. So this is the one with the plaster of paradise. Okay, and I'm just going to give it a shake. Okay, just to make sure that everything's all together and good. Okay, and I'm going to open it up. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a paintbrush. Okay, and we're going to do right in the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to apply my gesso right in the middle. Now I can already tell that I added too much paint. Okay, because this is not translucent at all, which is kind of the point of gesso. Okay, so I add a little bit of water. Okay, so I know that that is not the right consistency. I have another container here. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of my gesso, the one that I prepared, and I'm going to add water to it. Okay. So I added quite a bit of water. Okay. And let's try this little corner here. Okay. Okay. So again, it's not very translucent. Okay. So just kind of use your fingers. I definitely think that you do need to water it down. Okay. But that's kind of the great thing about gesso is that it kind of softens your background a little bit. So definitely water that down. Okay. Ready? So we're going to set this aside and we're going to let it dry. Okay. Now we're going to try the other one. So let me just clean off my brush here. So we'll try the one with the baby powder and the craft paint and see how that one does. Okay. Okay, so that's this one here. And we'll see if it's translucent. And then we'll let it dry also. So this one is much more translucent. As you can see, you can definitely see your paper through it. And you know what? It doesn't really soften your background that much. Okay. but it smells kind of good. Okay. And let's get some texture on there. Okay. Didn't mix very well. Okay, so as I notice, I can build this one up. Okay. So it really does soften my background a lot. Okay. As you can see here, but you can still kind of see the details peeking through. So hopefully you'll see that. Okay. And you know what? I think we'll mix up another batch of our plaster of paradise, but this time we're going to use white craft paint, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe I just picked too dark of a paint. Okay, so as you can see, my background is kind of muted, which is exactly what the real gesso would do. Okay, so you just have to make sure that you mix it very well, but I'm very happy with the results of that just looking at it right now. Okay, so I'm just going to set these aside to dry, and in the meantime we'll make another batch of our gesso, but this time we will make it with white craft paint, and maybe that'll do the trick a little better. Because yeah, this doesn't really, as you can tell, I'm brushing it on, and it kind of just covers very, very well. Like you can hardly see the background, and you know, if you spent time collaging, I think you should be able to see the back of it. Okay, so those are our first comparisons. Okay, so I'm going to let these dry, and I'll be right back. I found some white craft paint that I had lying around. I just have very, very little amount of water in there. Okay, and I'm going to grab my Paradise of Plaster. Okay, and I'm going to mix a little bit of it in. Okay, I'm going to say maybe about a tablespoon. Okay, and I'm going to take my stirrer and I'm going to stir that up. Okay, just like that. And this is our second recipe of the gesso with the paradise, plaster of paradise. That is a mouthful to say, isn't it? Okay, good. Okay, and then I'm going to put in some school glue. Okay, just a big gulp. Okay. And then I'm going to put in some paint. Okay, so I just have this little bottle here. And I'm going to just dunk it in there. Okay. Okay, and already I can see that this is really it's really white. So we'll see how this works. So we'll let's stir it together very, very well. Okay, so this is our gesso with the craft paint. Okay, so I have a piece of my collage here. So I'm just going to grab my paintbrush and I am going to just put it on lightly. Okay. Okay, and then I can use my fingers because I love to use my fingers for art journaling. And if I really work at it, I can make it translucent. Okay, and it does have just a little bit of grit in it. Okay, a little bit of tooth. Okay, so as you can see, that did soften my background a lot. Okay, but if I wanted to, I could just use a credit card, just like you would do with gesso, and I could even, you know, soften it up a little bit more. So we'll do, how about we take off a lot from the edges and we'll leave that kind of like that. Let's do another piece. So this is a little bit of a longer piece. And I can take my credit card and kind of bring it through, or I can take my fingers. But definitely if you wanted an understated background, then I would recommend the one with the white paint. Okay. And this does feel a lot more sticky than the other one that we made. Okay. If you wanted to soften it, then that would be the way to go. Now, what I am going to do is I want to add a bit of water, and let's see how it performs, if it performs even better, if it'll still be as translucent. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of it. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit more water. So kind of what I'm noticing with these is you definitely want some water with the ones that are made with the plaster of paradise. It looks like you will need water, okay, just to kind of thin them out, because they are really thick. They're not as translucent as the one with the baby white, okay. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to kind of stir it around, and then I can take it, and that does make it a little bit less translucent, okay. And you can kind of scrape it off if you need to, kind of flick it off, okay. So that's kind of how those look. Okay, so definitely you can see this side better than the other side. And that was just by taking that recipe and just adding a little bit more water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow these to dry, and then we're going to write on them and we're going to see how they perform. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay guys, so all of our pieces are dried, okay, which didn't actually take very long at all. So this is the one that we made with the latex paint. As you can see, it's not very translucent, so if that's the kind of look that you're getting, then I would not recommend using that one, okay? So this is the one with the baby powder and the spool paint and the craft paint. I like this one the best so far. I mean, it's a little translucent, but definitely it has some grit, and it does kind of make your background blend in. And this is the one with craft paint. That one's also a good one too. So just use craft paint, and that turned out great. And that's the other one too. So this is the one that wasn't thinned out, and then this side was thinned out, so you really get to see that translucent color. Now, so let's see how these guys work. Okay, so I'm going to take my Sharpie here, okay, and I am going to draw something on here. So let's just draw a little flower. Okay, so I'll just freehand just a flower, okay, with the Sharpie, okay. So as you can see, that one you can definitely write on top of with marker, okay. Let's try this one. So this one, we'll make another flower, okay. So this one you can definitely write onto. It's not as vivid as that one, but the background shows through. Let me bring it close. So that's a flower. That's a flower for that one. Okay. But the background shows through more on this page. So just keep that in mind. And then this is our little one. So let's just make a few doodles on this one. Okay. So we'll make a flower too. Okay. So that one shows up quite well. Okay. And that's the one that we use with the white paint. Okay. With the white craft paint. And then we use the plaster of paradise and all that. So we'll call that one recipe 3, okay? And this is recipe 3 but thinned out, okay? So that one didn't turn out that bad either. You can definitely see flowers and doodles, okay? Alrighty, so now let's move on to our next medium. So let's try paint, okay? So I'm going to grab some paint here. Just squeeze some down. I picked pink because I thought that would be nice and powerful. Grab a paintbrush. Oh, I have one. Close. Okay. So I just have a paintbrush here, okay? So I'm just going to take my acrylic paint and we're going to do it on each application. So we're just going to make little, like, semicircle things, okay? So that shows up pretty great too. You can still kind of see the background, okay? And for this one too, we'll make just little streaks, okay? And it comes out fine. I mean, so streaks and streaks on this one. So it's about the same for those, okay? Which is awesome. Alrighty, so let's move on to our next medium. So how about we will try to stamp, okay? So let's try to stamp on these. So this is just a regular stamp pad. This is black. And I'm just going to grab a stamp here. And we'll ink her up, okay? And this, oh, might be a little dry. Oh no, I think she is dried out. Oh no. Oh, that one is dried out. Let me grab another ink pad. So I just have here a permanent ink pad. Okay. So it might just be this stamp. I haven't used it before. It's a new one, so probably is this ink pad. Okay. Alright, let's try a different stamp. Sorry guys. Okay. That's a new one that I got from somewhere. Okay. So here I just have a stamp. Okay. And this is the one that has the plaster and the latex plank. So put that down. And actually does make quite a good impression. So you can stamp with this one. There's the stamp there. Okay. And let's do this one. So that one stamps very good too. So you could stamp on them. And that works also. Let's see, and I still have a little bit of this one left. And you can stamp on that one. And I know that you can stamp on the watered down one. Okay. So see, you can stamp right, and I stamped right on top of the acrylic paint. Okay, for that one. Okay. Alrighty, so you can absolutely stamp with these. And that works out fine. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of, I like to use up as much ink as all my stamp ink, okay, when I'm working. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to try our soft pastels, okay. So here I just have a soft pastel, and I'm just going to make a circle, okay. All right, and I'm just going to blend it with my finger, okay. So you can definitely use soft pastels on top of this one, of the latex. There you go. See? It has that chalky-like effect. Now, I want to see what happens if we wet it, because you can wet your soft pastels. Okay? So I'm just going to clean off my brush here that I used from earlier. Okay. Ready? Kind of dot it off a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to paint over it and see. Oh yeah, so you can even paint on top of this with the soft pastels, and it's fine. Okay. So that's how that one looks. Okay. Now for my soft pastel on this one, which is the baby powder. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to. So you can't really use the pastels on this one. I mean, they're not going on at all. Okay. So this one you cannot use soft pastels on. Okay. And this is the one with the baby powder. Okay. Now let's try with the white acrylic paint. So white acrylic paint, it goes on there nice and smooth. Okay. And I can blend it. It doesn't blend as well as actually the one with the latex paint. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's the watered down one. So let's try the piece that wasn't watered down, that had the acrylic paint on it. Okay, so I have that. And this one blends quite beautifully too. So if you want to use soft pastels on your gesso, you need to use the recipe that has the white acrylic paint with the plaster, or the one that has the latex paint with the plaster too. So those are just, I just wanted to test them out. I know there's lots of videos, but I don't think that they really try them out or show you kind of like which one works best. So depending on which medium you like to use, just keep that in mind and totally use this if you want. I do think that you can build the gesso on top. So let's continue with the mediums, okay? So this is an oil pastel. Okay, so again, it's not really the best, okay? So it doesn't really show up. So no pastels on this, not oil or the soft pastels, okay? I mean, it shows up a little bit, but not really. I mean, you can see it there, kind of. Just a little bit, but not very much, okay? So let's try on the one with the craft glue with the plaster of paradise. So I can see that the oil pastel is going on, okay? So it is coloring the paper. So you can use oil pastels with this recipe, okay? And it looks great, okay? Now this one, same thing. So this is the one that we made that was a little watered down, okay? And the oil pastel goes on there too, just fine. It goes on nice and smooth, okay? And then this is the one with the latex paint, which has been the best one that takes on the most medium so far, okay? Okay. Okay. And that one, it doesn't blend that well. Like, it really shows up very well. So that, I think it would be difficult to blend, okay, with the oil pastel. But you can definitely add some oil pastel to the one with the latex paint. Let's see if we can do watercolor, okay? So I'm just going to use my watercolor paints that I have here, okay? And we'll see how those go. Okay, so let me get just a little container here with water. Okay, so let's do the one with the latex paint first. Okay. Okay, so here's my paintbrush, which I lost, and we'll do this side right here. Okay, so I'm going to wet my brush, and I think that I'm going to use a blue. Okay, so there's my blue. It's very translucent, which is kind of the point of, but I'm using a very light blue. This is a darker one. I mean, so the one with the plaster, it does take on mediums the best. So if you are, so yeah, I mean, it just does. Look at that. You can even put watercolor on it, okay? And these are cheap watercolors. They're not even the expensive kind, okay? So absolutely, you can use the latex paint with the plaster of paradise. Takes on all mediums very well, okay? Okay, so let's try the plaster of paradise with the white paint, okay? With the white craft paint. So here I have my brush. Let me get a little bit more color. We're going to do blue again. We're going to do the dark blue, okay? And I'm going to go right here, okay? And that one absolutely takes on watercolor also, okay? So you can do watercolor on that too, okay? So it seems like the ones with the plaster in them, they do take on the media, different mediums very well. So you can basically do anything on both of those recipes. And like I said, I will write down the recipes for you, so don't worry. Okay, and then this is the one that we didn't dilute. And that will absolutely take on watercolors also. Okay, so I can color right over that flower that I made. And it's fine. Okay, just like that. Okay, And then let's try the one that we made with our baby powder. So I'm going to take some blue, and let's see how that one works, because the pastels didn't work so good. But you know what? That one takes on watercolor too. Yeah. So watercolor is good with all these gessos. Okay? Alrighty, so hopefully I got all the mediums. We can maybe do colored pencils. Do I have any close though? Let's see if I have colored pencils. What the heck? Let's give it a try. So here I just have a drawing pad that I got. These are Prismacolors. Okay, and let's try let's do a red. Okay, so these are just your standard color pencils. This is the one that is done with the baby powder. Okay, let's try a place that we can see. So we'll write love, and I'll do a heart. So I absolutely can color that in. So colored pencils work on that one. Okay, and I'm sure they'll work on this one too. Absolutely. They work on this one, and it blends pretty well. Okay, so colored pencils work on all of them. Okay, well, as long as you, so you can't put the colored pencil on top of the other medium, like the watercolor and the pastels, but you can, if you have an empty space that has the gesso on it, you can put it on there. Okay, so yeah, works pretty well. Alright, so hopefully that answers all you guys' questions. Sorry this video is so long, but I think it's worth it so you don't waste your time. So I'll put the recipes underneath so you can check them out. And thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks. Bye.